Hello students, in this lecture we will see the binary isomorphous phase diagram. So what is meant by binary? It means that it will have two elements. Isomorphous means it will have same structure or same morphology. So we will see now how the binary phase diagram will look like. Before that we will take an example. Suppose we have a unary material, that is copper, or unary element copper and nickel. The melting point of copper is 1085, the melting point of nickel is 1453 degrees Celsius. It means that below 1085 it will be in a solid state. That solid we called as alpha. Above that it will be in a liquid state, that we called as L. Similarly for nickel, below 1453 it will be a solid, that we call as alpha. Above 1453, since this is melting point, it will be a liquid. So what happen if we mix these two systems? That if what will happen if we mix copper and nickel together? Will there any change in the melting points or not? That we will see now. Before that, since these are two elements and by definition they will form an alloy. Now there is another type of alloy that we call as a solid solution. For that there is a atomic level mixing. We have already seen the Hume-Rothery rules for solid solutions, such as it should have same crystal structure, it should have diameter difference less than 15%, the electronegativity difference should be very small, and fourth, it should have similar valency. If such a case, then we will have a solid solution. The meaning of solid solution is that it will retain its structure for 100% solubility. What I mean by 100% solubility? For that we will take an example of nickel. If we take 10 gram nickel and if we add copper into that, we reduce the concentration of nickel and we are increasing the concentration of copper. If there is no change in the structure, it means that the solid solution forms. Or you can see here, if I have nickel, so for 10 grams nickel I will add 0 gram copper, 8 gram nickel 2 gram copper, and so on for 0 gram nickel and 10 gram copper. So I can transform the mixture from 10 gram nickel to the 10 gram copper. If this happens without any structural change, that we can call as solid solutions. So here we will see the binary phase diagram. Binary means it has two components. In this we will see two types of phase diagram. One is called as isomorphous phase diagram and one is called as eutectic phase diagram. The meaning of isomorphous is there is a complete solid and liquid solubility and it will have same structure and same morphology throughout the concentration, from 100% to 0% of one element and from 0% to 100% of another element. So if I have structure FCC for the parent material, after solid solutions or after alloying, it will retain the structure, that we call as isomorphous. In the eutectic phase diagram, there is a limited solubility of liquid and solid. It means that, as I told you, if you take a beaker of water and if we add sugar into that, sugar will not get completely dissolved after a certain limit, that we call as solubility limit. So in eutectic system we always have a solubility limit or solubility curve. In isomorphous system we don't have a solubility limit or solubility curve. So for example, if I have a material which is FCC in structure, so first it will be in FCC and then it can change to the BCC. In eutectic system means there is a change in the structure. So that's the definition of eutectic, different structure or different morphology. This you will see in the eutectic phase diagram. Here we will see the binary isomorphous phase diagram. The typical phase diagram will look like this. In the x-axis we have weight percent nickel. This is weight percent nickel. So weight percent nickel is increasing from 0 to 100%. Similarly for copper it will decrease from 100 to 0.8%, right? The melting point of copper is 1083. The melting point of nickel is 1453. If we make different compositions of this and we take a cooling curve and we plot a graph from that, the phase diagram will look like this. So we can see here we have a sharp melting point, here we have a sharp melting point, but in between there is a diffuse melting point. This diffuse melting point is due to the difference in the bonding, because there are two different elements. So different elements have different bonding and their melting point is different. So first element will melt as compared to the other, and that's why there is a diffuse melting point. The Gibbs phase rule for this is P plus F equal to C plus 1. So now why there is C equal to 1? Because we have only one parameter, that is temperature, and pressure is kept constant at 1 atmosphere. Remember that for a binary system this n, that is variables, is equal to 1 always, because pressure is kept constant at 1 atmosphere. Generally we deal with the material at 1 atmosphere or at atmospheric pressure. So if you take a concentration in this curve, it will look like this. For example, if you take concentration is equal to C, that is around 50% of weight percent nickel, and if we draw a line here, now what the line suggests, if you take a concentration that is 50% nickel and 50% copper, and we heat that alloy. As soon as we heat that alloy, till a particular point, that alloy will be in a solid phase. That solid phase we can call as alpha phase. After a certain point the melting will start and there is a mixture of solid and liquid. So this is this region shown here. So here we have liquid plus solid mixture, and after a particular point all phase will be in a liquid state, that we denote by L. This is because you can see this is a melting point of copper, this is melting point of nickel, and this is a melting point of alloy, you can see. So after this melting points we will have liquid. So this line which separates the solid and solid plus liquid we called as a solidus line. So below solidus line everything is in a solid form, above that it will be in a solid plus liquid form. Similarly the top line or top boundary here, that is the liquidus line or liquidus boundary which separates complete liquid and solid plus liquid. Above this line all alloy is liquid, below this line we have solid plus liquid. For example, if you find out the melting point of A, that is 1083 degrees Celsius here, melting point of B, that is nickel, that is 1453 degrees Celsius. At point C the melting point is not sharp, it will have diffuse melting point. So this melting point, for example, we can say it can be between 1100 to 1300 degree Celsius. So melting will start at 1100 and will end at 1300 degrees Celsius, for example. Now the question is, what can we learn from the phase diagram? We can learn three things from the phase diagram, or we can study three things from the phase diagram. First is number of phases. Second is amount of those phases. And third is composition of those phases. So first I can tell you from the phase diagram whether it is solid or liquid. If it is solid, how much gram is in a solid form, that we can tell by the amount. And if it is a solid form, since this is binary, how much solid is nickel and how much solid is copper, that we can tell by the composition. So first one, phases. In the above phase diagram we have seen two phases, one is solid and one is liquid. Amount of phases, for example, we have taken 100 gram of alloy, how much is in liquid state and how much is in a solid state. This we can tell in the phase diagram and composition of the phases. So if we have 52 grams alpha, in alpha we have Cu and nickel, that is a solid phase. So out of this 52 gram, how much copper is in a solid state, how much nickel is in a solid state, this we can tell. Suppose for example 26 gram is in a solid state copper and 26 gram nickel is in a solid state. So we can show like this, or we can find out these things from a phase diagram. That we will see now one by one. First, phases. Same phase diagram has been shown here. At point A, the number of phases are only solid because this point A lies in this boundary. So you have to find out number of phases in that particular boundary. So in this boundary, we have only one phase, that is solid phase, that we denote by alpha. At point B, we have the point B lies in between the solidus and liquidus line. So here we have two phases, one is alpha and liquid. At point C, there is only a liquid phase. So this we have find out the phases. Second, we can find out the composition of those phases. Same diagram has been shown here, and we have taken a composition C0. For that we have to find out the solid and liquid. Here composition C0 means if I have given 50% nickel, so out of 100 grams 50 gram is nickel plus 50 gram is copper. 50 gram is nickel and 50 gram is copper. So this is the given composition. In this given composition, if we are at this point, we will have 100 gram solid. If we are at this point, we will have 100 gram liquid. What will happen here? At this point, since it is a mixture of liquid and solid, how much is the solid and how much is the liquid, that we can tell by one line that we call as a tie line. For that, you have to draw a line which touches the solidus and liquidus boundary. So this is the tie line. This we call as a tie line. This touches to the liquidus here. So this is touches to liquidus. Above this, it will be in a liquid state. So this composition we can call as Cl, that is composition of liquid. Here it touches solidus. Below this, everything is in a solid form. So this composition we can call as Cs, that is composition of solid. So if we take 50% C0, we can write here C0 50. Cs comes around 55 weight% and Cl comes around 30 weight%. So if we have alloy, if we have 100 grams alloy which has 50 gram nickel and 50 gram copper, if we are at this point, the concentration of liquid and solid is given by this tie line, and that tie line shows that 30% out of this 100 grams, 30% is in a liquid state and 50% is in a solid state. This is the composition of the given alloy. From this composition, we can find out the weight% or the amount of phases. Amount of phases means in this liquid how much is the nickel and how much is the copper. That we can find out by amount. So the third is amount of the phases. So we have C0, the given concentration here, Cl the given concentration, and Cs the given concentration. This is again same phase diagram. This is solidus line, this is the liquidus line. Above this point everything is liquid, below this point everything is solid. So for finding out the amount of phases, you have to use a rule that is called as lever rule. Here you have to draw a lever, and this you have to show C0 at the center. So we have shown C0 at the center. This less than C0 will be the Cl, because Cl is less than C0 and it is touches to liquid. So this is Cl, this is Cs, this is mass of liquid, this is mass of solid. So to find out amount of phases, that can be shown by Wl for liquid, Ws for solid. Here if I want to find out amount of liquid, so we can neglect this Cl from that. Now we are remaining with these two, C0 and Cs. So you have to subtract smallest from the largest one. Smallest here is C0 and largest is Cs. So you have to write here Cs minus C0 upon the largest concentration, well, minus lowest concentration. So here largest is Cs minus lowest is Cl. That will give the weight fraction of liquid phase. Similarly for solid, if you take solid, this you have to neglect. So you are remaining with these two, C0 and Cl. In here Cl is smaller than C0, that you can see from the phase diagram also. So you have to subtract Cl from C0. So this has been shown here, and again denominator is highest concentration minus lowest concentration, Cs minus Cl. So you can think, or you can see one thing here, that this denominator for solid and denominator for liquid is same, that is Cs minus Cl. There is only change in the numerator. The weight fraction of any material should be always 100%. So if you add the weight fraction of liquid and weight fraction of solid, it should come around 1, or it should come around 100% always. There may be a change in the concentration, but the weight fraction should be always 100%. So in this example, we will find out the weight fraction of solid and weight fraction of liquid. So from this phase diagram, C0 is equal to 40, Cl is equal to 30, and Cs is equal to 50. So as I told you, to find out the weight fraction of liquid, you have to neglect the weight fraction of liquid. These two are remaining. Subtract smallest from largest. So it will be Cs minus C0. Cs minus C0 upon largest concentration minus lowest concentration, Cs minus Cl. Similarly for solid, you have to neglect this. These two are remaining, Cl and C0. So C0 minus Cl, because Cl is smaller than C0, upon smallest concentration has to subtract it from the largest concentration. So if we solve this, Cs minus C0, that is 50 minus 40 upon 50 minus 30, that is equal to 10 by 20 is equal to 0.5. Here you don't need to calculate the weight fraction of solid. You can use the formula Wl plus Ws is equal to 1. So you can find out Ws is equal to 1 minus Wl. So it should come around 0.5. This we can verify using this formula also. So C0 minus Cl, that is 40 minus 30 upon 50 minus 30, that is 10 by 20 is equal to 0.5. This you can verify. Remember that weight fraction should always comes to 1 or 100%. So now if you have an alloy, and if you are cooling the alloy from the liquid state to the solid state, so we are cooling the alloy from 1300 degrees Celsius to 1100 degrees Celsius. In this process, at 1300 it is in a liquid state, at 1100 it is in a solid state. So from liquid to solid, how the microstructure will change, that we will see now. So there are two types here. One is called as slow cooling. Here we have cooled the sample very slowly, such as 1 degree centigrade per hour. So if we cool it very slowly, the atoms will get sufficient time for arrangement and there will be equilibrium all across the sample. Equilibrium in the terms of concentration. There will not be any concentration gradient. So here this is because the cooling rate is very less than the diffusion rate. That's why atoms will get sufficient time for diffusion and there will be a homogeneous concentration across the sample. So we'll take an example at 35 C0, that is the given concentration, 35% nickel. At 1300 degrees Celsius or at point A, everything is in a liquid state. This you can show like this. When you come to the point B, this point B is the boundary of liquidus. That is, it will have liquid and liquid plus solid. So solidification or nucleation starts from this point. Here the Cl comes around 35 and Cs comes around 46. At point C, again solidification will increase because we are cooling the system. Solid particles will increase and liquid will gradually decrease. So here Cl comes around 32 and Cs comes around 43. At point D, that is the boundary of solidus and solid and liquid plus solid. So here we have majority will be in a solid form, that is 36%, and liquid Cl gives by 24%. As you come to the point E, that is completely in the solid state, we can see the grain like microstructure and with homogeneous concentration. So here you have to remember that since the cooling rate is very less than the diffusion rate, atoms get sufficient time and that's why there is no change in the concentration. So here we can call as homogeneous concentration. In another case, if we cool the sample very fast, that we call as a non-equilibrium cooling. For example, we cooled here at 100 degrees centigrade per minute. So your sample from 1300 degrees Celsius to 1100 degrees Celsius will come in only 2-3 minutes, right? So in that process, the cooling rate is very high than the diffusion rate, so atoms will not get sufficient time for diffusion, and in that process, whichever gets solidified first, that concentration will not change at the later stage. So first will solidify, then again outer layer will have another concentration, then again third layer will have another concentration, like that. So you will see it one by one. At point A or 1300 degrees Celsius, everything is in a liquid state. At point B, the nucleation start or the solidification start. The Cl here is around 46%. The Cl here is around 35% and the Cs is around 46%. Now as we start cooling, you can see here there is another line shown in dotted shape. This means that it should follow this path, but it will not follow this path and the actual composition will be like this because we are cooling it very fast. So in the process, first 46 nickel will get solidified, then 42 weight% nickel, then 38 weight% nickel, and then so on. So if you observe the microstructure, it will have layers of it will be like concentration gradient from the center to the outer side. So center will have 46 weight% nickel because that gets solidified first, followed by 42, followed by 38, and outer layer will be 31 weight% because here complete solidification occurs, and this called as core structure because it look like a core layer by layer. So just from the above phase diagrams we can have two structures. One is called as equilibrium structure, one is called as core structure. In equilibrium, the concentration at the edge and concentration at the center is equal to same, that is weight percent 35. For example, here there is uniform composition. In the core structure or the core shape we have non-uniform composition. The outer layer will have different composition as compared to the inner layer. Here the inner layer has 46% nickel and the outer layer has 35% nickel.